1.3b is graphs and lines. I have already on the paper for us some formulas that we need to use in this section. The slope formula, which is represented by m, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Be careful with the order of this formula. You can label any of the y values in the points y1 or y2, but once you do that, make sure you label the appropriate x1 and x2 to match it, and then plug it into the formula the way you see here so that you get the right sign. And then we've got it also equals the rise over the run. We've got slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. You can use this form when you know the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the b, and of course that m is the slope. And then if you don't know the y-intercept, you can use point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where you can put any point that they give you in for this spot right here and get the equation of the line. Okay, so let's try a few examples. I have the first one written. Find the equation of the line, and they want you to find the equation passing through the points that I give you. So it's passing through 2, 5, and 5, 7. Well, first ask yourself, do you have the y-intercept? Remember, the y-intercept is going to be 0, comma, some number. We don't have a point that starts with 0, so we don't have the y-intercept. So I want to use point slope form when working on this first example. So I'm going to write that down. And then we always need the slope. So I'm going to go ahead and use my 2 points, plug it into the slope formula. For this first one, I'll go ahead and label them. So I'll label this one x1, y1, and this one x2, y2. And now that I have them labeled, I'm going to plug them in exactly like the formula tells me. So I've got y2 first. So I've got 7 minus 5 over 5 minus 2. And then just simplify. So we've got 2 over 3. And then we can plug any point, x1, y1, in for this point right here. I'm going to go ahead and just use the first point, but you can use the second point. It'll still give you the same answer. Okay, so we've got y minus 5 equals 2/3 times x minus 2. Okay, and that is the equation of the line right there. It's in point slope form. Most of the time, they don't let you keep it in point slope form. They either tell you write the answer in slope-intercept form or write the answer in standard form. Let's just change it to slope-intercept form first. So we need to get the y by itself. And notice there's no parentheses over here either. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute the 2/3 first. Okay, and remember when you're multiplying fractions, just put your 2 over 1 and you've got 2 fractions here and you're multiplying. So you just multiply across. We've got negative 4 over 3. And then finally get y by itself, so add 5 to both sides. Okay, well, we have to get a common denominator here in order to add or subtract fractions. So I put my 5 over 1. My common denominator would be 3, so I'm going to multiply this one on top and bottom by 3. So I've got negative 4/3 plus 15 over 3, which gives me a positive 11 over 3. Okay, so let me write what we got over here. So we got y equals 2/3 x plus 11/3. Okay, well that's in slope-intercept form. Well, sometimes they want the answer in standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So you need to get the x's and the y's on the same side. And the a, b, and c are all whole numbers. So you want to get rid of any fractions that you see as well. Okay, so moving this one into standard form, I need to move the x over, so I'll subtract 2/3 x. So I'll get negative 2/3 x plus y equals 11/3. And then I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 3 to cancel out the denominators. Okay, so I'll cancel out the denominator. I get negative 2x plus 3 times y, so 3y equals, and the 3's cancel here, so 11. Okay, and that is standard form. In some textbooks, it doesn't like the x term to be negative, so if you just multiply the whole thing through by a -1 and change all of the signs, that is also in standard form. They're the same line. So when doing your homework, I don't mind if you keep the x negative, but if you have a multiple choice problem, make sure you understand that you could multiply the whole thing by -1 to make the first term positive. The answer may be written like that. Okay, so this one's in standard form. So read the directions carefully. See if they want the answer in slope-intercept form or standard form. Let's try another one. So part B, they give me 2, 8 and 0, 4. Okay, so they want the line passing through 2, 8 and 0, 4. Again, ask yourself, do they give you the y-intercept? Yes, in this one they give us the y-intercept, 0, 4. This is the y-intercept. So we can use our slope-intercept form over here. Okay, so I'm going to write that down first. And we need the slope again, so go ahead and find the slope. So I've got m equals 4 minus 8 over 0 minus 2. And that gives me a positive 2. So my slope is 2. And now we've got everything we need to plug in. So we've got y equals negative 2x plus 4, because my b is the y-intercept. Okay, so that's slope-intercept form. Well, what if I wanted to change it into standard form? We just need to move the x over, so we'll add 2x to both sides and get 2x plus y equals 4. Well, that one is already all whole numbers, so we're done. We've got slope-intercept form and we've got standard form. Let's try one more, part C. I've got 5, 3 and 5, negative 3. Okay, I'm going to show you what happens here in a second, but let's just start this one like any other problem that we've been doing. Do they give me the y-intercept? No, they don't give me the y-intercept. I don't have 0, comma, some number, so I'm going to use point slope form. Okay, and we need to find the slope, so let's go ahead and do that. We've got m equals negative 3 minus 3 over 5 minus 5. So we get negative 6 over 0. Oh, well, what does 0 in the denominator mean? It means undefined And if you read the notes before you looked at this video, you'll remember that that means it's a vertical line. Okay, well, vertical lines, the formula for a vertical line is x equals. Well, that actually makes sense. Look at what they gave you in the problem. In the problem, the x's were the same. If you notice that the x's were the same to begin with, you didn't even need to do this work. If the x's are the same, the formula is going to be x equals whatever that number is. Likewise, if the y's had been the same, then you could put y equals whatever the y had been, and it would have been a horizontal line. Of course, if you found the slope of a horizontal line, the slope would have been 0. Okay, so take a look at your problem to begin with to see what work could be saved when doing the problem. If you have a problem that doesn't have the y-intercept, well, then you just have to use point-slope form and do all of the steps. If you have a problem where you do have the y-intercept, you can automatically put it into slope-intercept form and save yourself a little bit of work. And then also make sure to check if your x's are the same. X equals whatever that number is going to be your answer. And if the y's had been the same, y equals whatever the y value was would have been your answer. So try out the homework and let me know if you have any questions.